Hello everybody, Ace of Trades here. Today it's Saturday, February 14th. Those of you who care, happy Valentine's Day out there to everybody. Alright, today's video I'm just kind of going through, I just want to kind of show everybody the way that I analyze market structure. Uh, and I'll try to do these from time to time just to kind of help everybody understand like how market structures work, um, and how you can analyze them to find high probability setups. Um, so what I typically do uh, is I will come in the morning. I've explained this before. So this is we're looking at what are we looking at here? February. We're heading into February 2nd. So I just picked a day here. Of course, this is already printed and everything, but I'm going to try to just, I don't really remember what the market, did. So what I do is I try to identify the overnight high. I don't know why this is, but um, overnight, the levels that the market sets as highs and lows for the normal trading day can often become important areas of support and resistance for the day. So I'm just going to make this array so we have that established. Um, so here's the high around 7:30 for that day p.m. I guess it would have been the first. I guess it would have been like Sunday night. I think that's Sunday. Is that right? Yeah. So that would have been Sunday night. And then down here around 2 a.m. is the low the market made for the day. And as we're teaching in analyzing market structures, even though we wouldn't be trading here at this time, we can clearly see that the market had a very clear move down. And some people they'll be super picky about how they'll get really honed in on like micro trends, and they'd look at this as like a trend, and then they'd call this little thing here a break and a push down. Like this, just call this like a trend down break and a new low, and they'd call this like one leg, two legs. But we can see that what we're looking for to consider breaks in trends is we're looking for clear breaks. And this is just kind of sideways and then down. So here we'd have this trend down. Again, not really important as far as what you're looking at for the day trading during the regular session. You can see we have a clear trend down, and you can see how this break is much cleaner and bigger than something you might be looking at here for a break. So this trend moves down, makes a break, and there's a new low, and then off that price is reverse. And then we can see this way going up initially. We've got this trend up. Okay, very clear. Break, new high. Now, the market does not always reverse off of a break and a retest, but that's when you have to be careful about taking trades in with the original bias, um, because some often after a break and a retest, at least temporarily, they will try to reverse. And if they cannot reverse and they continue to push higher, then the trend up, the buying is stronger than uh, normal, I guess you would say. And sometimes there a very common pattern also is um, if you get a break and a retest, you'll sometimes get two legs up. So we get one leg down after the retest, we get a break and um, two legs up. And sometimes trends they'll roll over. If you get a very steep trend, sometimes it will roll over into a more shallow trend. So you might be looking at this. Uh, Again, normally I'm not even trading at this time. This is down here 8 a.m. on Tuesday that day. So I'll just give these different colors. Um, Green's not a very smart color. It's not sticking out very well. Let's give it that brown color. Click the EMA by accident. Okay, so this is fitting okay. So as time would go by, if this would continue to push and fit within this trend, then I'd be okay using this trend to take trades off of. Now, this trend here, um, when I'm looking for corrections to get on, I'm looking for two legs of correction with uh, against the bias. So the bias is up. So I'm looking for two legs of correction down. This is not good enough for me. Some people will try to take this trade saying it's a one attempt, two attempts, and you're trying to get in, but I try to get in on the second attempt for prices to continue moving higher. But I also like to have generally the legs of correction. I generally like to have them be um, kind of relatively the same size, and almost most of the time I would like them to be the second leg to be, lower than the first leg. So this is just like one leg down, a little pump up, and just kind of sideways. So this is almost like a little range here. You can see that this push down here couldn't get lower than this much lower than this leg here. So we I'm not really interested in taking that because maybe there's a second leg coming down here yet. So you could get ticked in here and it could push down a little bit lower. So I'm not really liking that. And now we're going sideways. And so most of the time you're just waiting to get clean structures to trade. Um, I think the reason I think people don't understand how markets generally work or how price action generally works. Um, which is basically trending. You're either trending or you're in a range, and those trends break and retest. And once they retest, then they will try to reverse, or at least you have to be careful about taking trades in the same direction as the trend was moving because that trend could decent possibility that that trend is over. But here we see this trend is not it. Uh, it just continues to move higher, and each push kind of gets more and more shallow. And uh, what you have here developing is basically have an overnight range, and so prices created a high here overnight and a low, and now what prices are trying to do is get back to this overnight high. And so um, but there's not on this time frame, the 2000 tick chart, you're not really getting a whole lot of clean price action. You get a lot of this sideways stuff, push up. I don't know why these bars are doing this. Sometimes the platform does this in time past, um, and then it'll fix itself again. But you are not, I'm looking for clean legs of correction or clean movements in the price action where I can tell that a movement is over and I can get in um, with um, either temporarily back in one way or another. And so this has moved up, and now um, we're up above the overnight high. And so what prices also like to do is when they push through a level of resistance, which we can see here, let me just try to make this bigger. It's easy to see on my huge screen, but I recognize that you may not be looking on a device that fits that well. So um, when prices hit this level of resistance, you can see they push up through and they pull back and they test it. So once they tested it and were satisfied that it would be support, they push higher. But you can see the bars are they're very tiny um, relative to one another. You're not getting clean price movements like you did here. Um, so there's not really a whole lot you can do when um, you're getting that because you just never know um, when something's going to you can't tell that there's this trend is going to continue or it's going to be over. Um, and it's always very dangerous to take a long into a high or take a short into a low, because you're into like price discovery. Um, so what we have here is we're kind of just riding this EMA up, and maybe there's even some sort of trend here that maybe you can look at. And so sometimes prices will just roll over into that looks pretty decent. What you're looking for a good trend is you're looking for price to move back and forth between the trend channel lines, um, so that you know that that trend is, what do I want to say, valid, I guess. And you can ascertain the strength of the price moving that direction. So when price is having difficult time here, it cannot get back to the other side of this trend line. It fails out. So here you have this trend now made a break, and now it's pushing up. But there's nothing here that I really like to try to give me. It's going to give me a signal that we're going, that we're going higher. I mean, you have some people would perhaps wait for this to go up here and close above, once they'll go long there. But what type of target are you going for at this point? You only have 2, 4, 6 points to this high. And then you have, this is basically one leg down here. So, just a minute, hold on a second. All right, had a little interruption there. So this I can't count on. There's nothing clean here as far as like 2 legs of correction, um, for me to know that this move down is over. That's not a very good bar, um, and I'd be concerned here about a stronger attempt to fade, meaning for prices to go back into this overnight range. Because whenever you get breakouts of resistance levels, prices will try to retest those. And even though we tested it here a little bit, we'll also, uh, there may be a stronger attempt to retest it. Um, so I'm just, there's nothing clean. This is just a bunch of sideways bars, and we're pushing down, and you have no confidence here to buy anything. You do not want to buy into this EMA. You can see how prices struggled to push through there and tried to push down. Some people may say, hey, I'll buy this close above this EMA, but this may all be one leg down, right? So I'll show you. You may get something like this. All right, you may have one leg down here, and then you never know. This all looks kind of like one leg to me. There's no clear like break of a move down, to tell me that's a second leg. So just about the time you think price is going back up here, you may get that second leg down like this that wants to come down and retest this level. It doesn't in this case, but to me that's not high probability to buy that. And again, where is a good stop anchor there? Under here. I mean, that is almost 8 points there. When you're trading real money live, you have to be very precise about what you're doing and have really strong confidence about, um, the entries that you're taking. Um, you know, again, you'll hear me talk about this a lot probably, but you cannot, prop firm trading and real live trading are two totally different animals. Um, the prop firm trading, you get whatever, you pay $100 and you get $5,000 of equity, uh, drawdown, whatever you want to call it. You blow that 5,000 equity, you cannot reset a live account for another $100 fee. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You have to be very, um, really have a good understanding of the market structure and the entries that you're taking when you're trading real money live. At least for me, I do. Okay. Again, remember these videos, not financial advice, educational purposes, so that you can train yourself or use this as a training tool to uh, learn how to trade for yourself and make money for yourself. But nothing is set in stone. Everything's it's all very risky, and but I know that this methodology works because I've used it and it works. Most people that are trading prop firms, they even though they make you see them make six figures or whatever, get these massive payouts. Okay, they're regularly blowing accounts. Even the guys making $300,000-$400,000 a year, they're on hundreds and hundreds of accounts. And so if you would measure the fake equity they lose against the real payouts, their fake equity, excuse me, that they've lost far exceeds the actual money that they've gotten paid. And though they are able to get streaky, and maybe some of the methods that they use work well enough and long enough that they're able to get to those payout levels, but it doesn't work long term to avoid blowing accounts. I mean, eventually, when you trade certain ways these people trade, you're going to blow the account, and um, you can't refresh, real equity for a few $100s in fees. Anyway, so what I'm trying to do is to teach folks, uh, give folks a good understanding of um, methodologies that work, and it's not flashy. Um, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Okay, it's just something you're looking to just take it basically like think of it as like a daily salary from the market, um, to earn a living. And sometimes there are no trades, that you and maybe as time goes by and you develop more skill, you'll see different things that you have confidence in that you wouldn't before, and so your skill develops. It is like this is trading the market. Analyzing and understanding market structures is a skill that takes time, a lot of time, more time than people are willing to invest to develop. So anyway, a little soapbox there, but we just keep pushing up here. I don't see anything at this point. I'm waiting. I'm looking for thinking maybe either the market is very strong today, and often when you get these little bars, you get these breaks in these structures, and the price just continues to grind higher and higher and higher, and you get lots of tiny little bars. Maybe the market's just very strong that way, and you're not going to get much of many corrections, and but you still have to sit and be patient and just wait. Um, so we're looking for ways that we could areas that we could get in on the market. Just a second for a minute. I got a interruption here. Okay, so we're here. Here we are at 10 o'clock, and there's really been nothing unless you're going to try to just guess at one of these bars or whatever. Um, so hold on a second. I got another interruption. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back here. All right, so now here we've got this is so now we finally get into something interesting where um, now you have this structure, right? Breaks, pushes up to a new high. And you really never know where these highs, you just have to watch and see where they stop. You never really know exactly where there's, it looks like maybe they'll start turning around here. Excuse me, I'm just dealing with cold and stuff. Sorry if that's bug in your ear. Pushes up, pushes up. All right. Finally, we get something. This is like the strongest move down that we've had since maybe here when this structure broke. So I'd be looking for something like this. I still don't see anything for me to start thinking short now. I need to really see this push down and then create a clean structure, and then give me a couple legs of correction, um, back back up into the structure. So so far we basically had this move down here. Now we're pushing back up. Okay. Um, we create this looks like a double top to me. All right, and then we're pushing back down again. So perhaps with this is, I mean, you can see the two legs there, but perhaps, this is, you never know what you're going to get. You just have to watch as the market develops. And so I might draw something like this. Think, oh, maybe let's see if this pops up again. Maybe we're going to get, maybe this is going to turn into a range here. Because sometimes what markets do, when they get exhausted in one direction, before they reverse, sometimes they will break, create a new low, and then they'll just reverse. But sometimes after a while, if they get exhausted, so that's one thing markets do. Another thing is after they go on for a while one direction and they start to get exhausted, they'll go into ranges. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here. I don't really know what's happening here. Um, they'll go into ranges and then they'll start to reverse. So we've got a low there, and then we pop up temporarily here. It's difficult. Lots of activity here, getting interruptions. So, but we can't get back up to this side now. So maybe this is starting to weaken here. So we're pushing down, continuing to push down. And we're just kind of watching. I don't see anything. Um, you do have this though. Pushing down, pushing down. You get this here. You see, if I'd seen this, is that sitting on there? Stop it. Okay. You get that there. And then you have this. This looks decent here. Sometimes when you get when you're real zoomed in and you can't see, you're not paying attention to what the points are. Usually what I like to do is I like to have one screen that's kind of zoomed out so it helps me with the context. And then I have another screen that is zoomed in and it helps me like get in the trades and stuff. So I don't know. This one here, that one's aggressive there, I think. And you do have now two clear legs down, two, and not much risk. It looks like you've got usually when you get these pin bars near the end of legs, um, they're usually good to take. Now, I would still it's aggressive, but it's not out of the realm of something that you may want to try. Um, I mean, you're expecting perhaps that prices are going to start heading down because this is played out, but mm, it's aggressive. I'm sometimes I'm not super aggressive, but sometimes I will take something like that. But you're now on the wrong side of the EMA here. Price is unable to push back up higher. It's kind of grinding against you. Look, pushed through the EMA, bounced off the EMA. You're back down here. I mean, price is when it gets down to these legs, it is pushing up. You do want a good bar here, and it's a pretty decent bar. It's not a ton of risk, so that might be one that you try. It does push up here. Pull that off. Um, this here is one. This is actually the trade that I took because we ended up having this here. You have this, and one thing you watch that video. One thing I was concerned about these highs. And so this is what I'm talking about when I'm looking for a structure and I'm looking for two legs of correction. And there's other people that talk about it, two legs of correction, but it's not just that in a vacuum. It's what's my context. And my context here, my opinion, show you this, is you've got this trend moving up. You are into these highs. So that's one thing to be careful. If this was going to fail, that would probably be why it failed, because you're already into these highs. But this looks pretty strong. It would want to try to retest. So you have one leg, two legs of correction. That's not a bullish doji, is not my favorite, but it was good enough, uh, in my opinion, at this point to take that. And I think I took a couple, uh, five ticks. I think I got on that day. Um, and then we came back down here, back down to the other side of this range. I don't feel like that's good enough. I don't see this as being like, if you get two clean legs down, um, yeah, but this is just kind of bumping up and down, grinding down. I usually like to see, if I'm going to buy something, I usually like the bar to be green. Um, I don't usually like to see it continue closing lower, so I probably wouldn't buy that there. It does continue higher. Excuse me. And then we push out of the range. We got noon, kind of going sideways here. Continue pushing up. It's just overall, you can see it's just overall pretty bullish for today. It's not, it several attempts to try to reverse, and it just can't get very far before it starts going higher. Um, Now that I look at it like that, um, it looks pretty decent. When you're looking at it all scrunched in like this, it looks kind of weak. So I think if I had my, um, on my trading chart that I look at, kind of zoomed in and seen that, that looks pretty good. Um, Sometimes these trades, they look different depending on how you have your chart set and squished. You got it real spread out, and real squished down. Then it kind of looks kind of weak. But I'm trying to do two things at once here. I'm trying to look at context and look at entries. But so that's why I like that trade right there. And again, I'm not trying to capture 10, 15, 20 points. That's not the style that I'm using. I'm trying to find high probability short-term movements in the market. Um, and usually they're off these two-legged moves. So push up here, very small correction, just barely goes sideways, pushes up again, continues to push up. Okay, now we got some movement down here. And these bars are just you get one leg basically, and then you get a bunch of stuff that just kind of overlaps. So not great. 2 o'clock. Looks like the market slowed down quite a bit now. Um, this is just so with the I see two legs here. You see that? You get this push down, and then you get these two legs that are just about, but this is like a double bottom. That's super aggressive there, in my opinion, because of the bullishness of the market. I don't even really see like a clear range here that you'd be trading. Um, there's, if we take this, I mean, this came down here. If we continue to extend our range, this came down, tested the top of this range again, pushed back out, and we may have something else right here. So it's not great. It's kind of, I wouldn't really rely on it. You can see that there's some support right here. This poked out, pushed back up. Um, that's pretty aggressive there. Especially, I'm not a huge fan of trying to take an entry against a massive bar like that all in one. This leg happened all in one bar, because that's pretty strong, and you don't know if this is just a little bit of profit taking on some level, and then they're going to push it up again. So, I mean, you can see it does end up running down there. And I don't see anything here I care for. What are we at? 315. Now for some reason we're getting these double bars, but that's generally how I analyze the market. Let's just see quickly. I know this is about half an hour, but let's see quickly. Sometimes you just don't get. Sometimes the way the bars print, it's just not very friendly to try taking trades. I mean, there's one here. Um, you can see if you took that and you had a runner, maybe you're looking for the runner up to go up to here, and you take it off. Again, I usually, if I have a target, I usually take my runner off around 80% of where my target is, because um, sometimes other people also have those targets, and so they're taking profits earlier too. Then you can see here, you have this leg. There's other things here at play. You've got this leg. And these measured legs are also important. They're good for using to keep you out of trouble. Um, in continuing to, it looks very bullish because it keeps going up, but sometimes it's just making symmetrical legs. You can see once prices got in this area, they pushed up a little bit and then they kind of struggled after that. So it doesn't always, uh, prices aren't always going to immediately reverse at these measured moves, but they can be very helpful um, if you have if you understand your context in, um, at least number one, keeping you out of a bad trade. But if they end up happening at key levels, like, say if you had these two areas here where you double top, and let's say you got two legs, like you got one leg up in here and then down here, and then you know another one, and you start to see resistance form. Well, this would be a good place perhaps to take a lower high, because if the measured move has played out at this same level where this former resistance is, then um, you could maybe look to get in with something going back down. 9 times out of 10, I don't just take the first, I wouldn't just take the first red bar that shows back up at the measured move level. I would look for a lower high, and often that will cause me to not get into the move, because sometimes it just doesn't create a lower high. Sometimes it just dumps. But it's a higher probability trade to wait on those lower highs to give you confirmation that the price is starting to fail at that level and it will push down. So um, now if we were, where's my thing here? Where's my other thing? Another one? It's way down here. There it is. Disappeared. So it disappears after a while. So if we take this over, let's see if we can look at a couple days. is getting rather long, but if you're interested in learning how to trade and you're not just looking for entertainment, well, then you don't really care how long the video is. It's more interesting to you to learn how to trade. So at this point, so here we are. This would be coming into the next day. And what is this? That's 9:43. Um, Sometimes you don't get a clear overnight low. This is 9 o'clock here. I would probably have my, um, if I'm coming into the market, this is 9. I usually sit down around 9. So, you'd probably have that set as highs and lows for the morning. Um, and then you'd be looking at like, so here I draw this move down. Okay. And then I'd be looking at this move down. And then we also, you kind of look, okay, I'm getting lower highs and lower lows, and this is kind of, about the same level as that. So, I wouldn't necessarily look at this being a trend immediately, but if it kept going down, then I'd probably would draw a trend line here. And so you can see right here, this measured move, you get this bullish bar here. You have some room here. Honestly, it's aggressive because you've got several, it's kind of moving down. But remember, we broke out of this overnight low. So what do prices try when they break out of ranges, they will try to retest them. And you did retest, and you did try to break out here and try to push up, and then that rejected and pushed lower. So um, it's kind of aggressive, but at the same time, what we can see from the pattern that's going on is every time we make a swing, even though we're pushing down lower, we're getting some kind of push up off the swing. We're not immediately like ticking higher and then falling back down. So you have some reliability that, this is going to push up at least to try into that EMA. And you do have two of the bigger legs down has been, completed. So again, aggressive, but could try that. You do get some movement there. Continues to go down. And now maybe I draw something like this and see what's going on here. So I'd be looking, and as far as drawing trend lines, do I draw them off the wicks? Do I draw them off? A lot of people will teach you to start with the high and low of the wick and then draw it off closes. To me, it's just, does it fit? How does it fit? What makes it fit the best? And the trend is starting initially. And, maybe it's like this. Let's just change this a minute. I usually like downtrends to be red. And then I draw it like this. And so, well, we'll see. There's nothing here I'm looking to trade. What are we doing? Okay. So this isn't fitting real well as a trend. I'd just be watching this for now, continuing to push down. Now, maybe the way you would look at this is you would look at this as a trend. That's, if we draw it a little bit further. Sorry, dealing with this cold. We would draw this as, you might look at this as a break. This tried to push down, and so maybe we look at this. It's like one whole leg down. Because sometimes what trends will do is once the trend breaks, it will push, potentially will often try to push to a new extreme. And sometimes what it does is it makes it a measured leg of that trend before turning around. Now this is interesting here. You can see, let's see this. I don't know if this makes a measured leg. It doesn't make a measured leg. I see this bar right here. You don't see anything like that all the way down. And then you get this, it's kind of like it's a bullish bear bar, if you could, because it pushed down here and it closed. All this wicking is it's buying coming in and the bar closing here. It tries to push down again and closes even higher. Um, this is pretty much within this trend down. So some people would be super aggressive here and buy. Um, it's a downtrend break, new low, and then you've got this super bullish bar after this bearish bar that also looks kind of bullish. I personally wouldn't buy it, but I wouldn't be surprised if price is going to bounce here. No, and see what happens. It would have looks like this would have ticked you in and fell down. So, um, buying these, like, this is what I would call buying a bottom, and those you know will most often result in a loser. Um, like I said, I wouldn't buy that. I mean, this is all within this downtrend. And then we push down, push down. There's just, again, buying this, it looks nice whenever you see the price move, but you can't tell it's going to do that. Even here, I wouldn't be surprised if this bounced here. Guess what? It doesn't. It pushes down, and then you get, well, what about that one? You never know when these things are going to end, and they always look neat in hindsight, but you can't, if the, when you're looking at these static charts that have been printed and finished, you can't look at stuff in hindsight and say, oh yeah, I would have bought that, or I wouldn't have bought that, or I wouldn't have sold that. You gotta look at it like what's what makes sense. And so I would never buy any of these just bull bars. Oh look, it shoots up. Now you've got two measured legs down. So now you have to be thinking, okay, I have to be really careful here about some people will get FOMO'd in by seeing all this red, and then they'll be looking for to short again. And this could very well be played out, and maybe we try to start going higher here. So I'd be very cautious about taking shorts um, now that we've got these two big legs down. And so you get this little pump up. It does continue to push down. Now this leg makes a new low. I'm really concerned about looking for longs. And there you get that, you get that bar print like that. Boy, that looks really, really enticing because, you have this, you see where this pushed down. Once you got this bar, it pushed up. Now you push down, you got this bar, and are you thinking, oh, this is going to push up? Uh, I'm just not really going to buy against the bias. The bias is strongly down, can't reverse, continues to push down. What I'm doing here is I'm sitting on my hands basically, and a lot of people just can't do that. They haven't, I guess, um, developed the discipline to just sit and wait for something um, that they have learned to analyze and uh, wait for. That's a high probability setup. So now we have this moving up, pushing down again. We're still pushing down. Um, Now you're going sideways here. Okay, this is messy double bar stuff that the platform's doing. Um, and now this is kind of, you continue to grind lower, grind lower. Here's the first time we didn't push past these lows. Push down again, didn't push past the lows. I have to be careful now because you're continuing to push lower, push lower. You get this push up, then you push lower. Get this little range here, push down. Can't clear that low. Push up again, push down. We do make a lower low on this, but can't clear this low. And now that's quite a bit stronger than anything you've seen the whole morning so far. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the red bar at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bull bars there. And there hasn't been anything like that. So you have to be thinking now in the back of your mind, maybe bias is flipping around here, or I need to be really, really careful about shorting. Maybe there's something we can get. Now, if this pushed up and it gave me a couple legs down here with a um, a nice setup bar, I'd probably be thinking long here. Um, and that you get this. I can't buy this because this is just one leg down, and you might get just tripped in, and it may decide it wants to go down. I'm looking for two clear legs. Um, so this just happens to push up to a new high off one leg down. So what are we getting here? Let's see. Okay, so now remember our market structure. Once we have a trend that breaks and makes a new high, we have to be concerned it may want to flip around again and go the other way, especially because my overall bias for the day, how bearish my bias is so far for today. So um, I don't want to get caught like buying again, thinking, oh, this is going up now. Although I will have probably have drawn something like this, and I would probably have something on there like that, just as something to keep my eye on as a target for a measured move. Because if we got up to this measured move and we were far enough away from the CMA and we created a lower high or maybe even something like this, then I'd be interested in taking a short then. But it doesn't do that. It just kind of rolls back over and pushes back down. Now it looks like perhaps we've got something new that we can keep an eye on. We got this push down, new low. I really don't see anything I'd be interested in. This is way too much congestion. Some people will get tripped up on just, they'll get real dialed in. Like they may get real zoomed in on their chart, right? And they may see this as, I'm just going to take this bear bar here. I mean, I got room, I got a point or so to there. And I'm just going to take this as like a failed second attempt down. It looks like we're really biased, we're really moving down, but really, look at this. You're inside. This is just inside all this price action here. So you got to be really careful. I'm really just looking for entries on the end of swings. Okay, you're not getting anything here. This bar just collapsed down. Um, Maybe we're looking at a range here now. Let's look at this here. Maybe I got something like this I'm looking at. We do kind of poke out here. Um, Honestly, I probably I probably wouldn't notice that in real time. I see that, and then you get this right away. Um, if you would see that, I mean, obviously you see it, but um, it would probably catch me by surprise. I probably wouldn't enter there because you do have it is a breakout of this range. Um, and you do have some room back here to the lows of the range, but you may have your range lows here, and so you might think, oh, I'm not going to risk it. Yeah, it's probably not. It's probably best not to risk that. I probably wouldn't see that. And we continue to push down here, and so I don't have my second screen up, so I've got to zoom out and see if there's any other context here I have to look at, and maybe I would be looking out to see, do I have anything bigger here I need to keep an eye on. I don't really see any larger downtrends immediately. Nothing immediately sticks out to me. So I probably would not draw anything, I don't think. I mean, it's just not giving you any clean structures. And then you push down here again. Okay, and maybe if I got, with this push down here, maybe if I got two clear legs back now, because we've tried to range here, and we pushed out, and we tried to push back in the range, and we're falling back down now. And maybe I would see something like here, right? maybe you're looking at something like that. And does that fit? That might fit, you know. So if I draw it like this, it just doesn't look right because you're not getting consistent moves back and forth between the channels, even if we had this here. Okay, I had something like this. Even if we had something like this and that fit, it's just weird looking. I mean, maybe if I got two clean legs, that has way too much stem on it for me to short. But maybe if we had this up and then if we got something else, it's just, it doesn't give you anything. And then it just pushes down. 1230, let's see. It's hard to look at context and be zoomed in enough to decide if you want to take a trade on one chart to me, especially when you're getting this much price action. Now, I think this is the trade I took here. Okay. Let me see. When I'm just I'm just zooming through hours of price action all at once. Uh, Sometimes it's hard to see this stuff. But and then also, I will also look at this 4,000 tick chart, which I still have on my. I did pull that back to the third. It's still on the 13th. But if this fits relatively well, and this could just be, even though this is a break, looks like a breakout. If this is just this could just be on a bigger time frame. That could just be a wick. So I'm not super concerned about that being a break of my trend, especially when we keep moving back down to the other side. Okay, and then this is, so then we had this. Let me just make this array for a minute so that I don't have to try to extend this. Okay, right here. So when I was doing this, then we got this waterfall back down to the other side. Okay, yeah, this is the trade I took, and I had my parameters set incorrectly. But if I was still going for, and here's another issue with why I think this lost on me, or why I should have been more aware of it, is if you are coming off the bottom of a trend line, even though you have a first attempt, a second attempt, um, there is some chance that price, because it has been going back and forth between the channel, between the lows and the highs, there is some chance the price is going to try to make it back up to the other side of the channel. That this is not just going to go immediately dump from here. Okay. And I think that is probably what, I mean, I shouldn't have lost on it because it was a manual error on my part in setting my automated trading management stuff with the contracts. Um, but if I go for my typical target, I do get out for a winner. You can see that I went for 2 points on this, and I think I came like one tick away from getting out, and then it went up. It made one more move up, and then it went down. So that does not happen very often. Usually you get this first attempt, second attempt, and it's going to go down. But I think part of the issue is price trying to make it up to the other side. I should have been aware of that as well. It still looks like a good trade to me. I'll take this like every time, like I said in the video. Um, but I should have been more aware of price trying to make it back up there and not try to extend my target, thinking new low here right away. So, but that looks like, so this is kind of what I'm talking about when I'm looking for clean legs. You see how clean this is back here? You've got green bar, green bar, green bar, and every bar is closing higher, closing higher, closing higher, and then you get this bar finishes as the end bar, or called the signal bar, closes lower, pushes down a couple bars, pushes back up. All right. we basically have two legs here. This is the type of stuff that I'm sitting around and I'm waiting for instead of just trying to jump in and guess at things. Okay. So this is the type of stuff uh, I'm looking for. Clean moves down, clean corrections. When you get all this garbage like this, you can't do anything with that. You have no idea when this is going to go down, when it's going to go up. It's just, it's messy. And sometimes entire days are messy. Sometimes entire days consecutively are messy. But this is the type of stuff that you're waiting for um, when you're taking trades, when you're looking for trades, or when I'm looking for trades, I should say. Um, but then this just kind of grinds down. And if you do happen to get something like this, um, I don't know that I'm looking for a runner. If this would go down, I probably would be concerned about price bouncing off the lows here, and not just expecting it's going to continue like just grinding down like that. And you can see you have really no idea when the thing is just going to bounce out of there. Like it just rips higher. It just rips out of there. So this is the kind of stuff that you just have no idea what's going on. You can see how messy this is, and there's nothing clear here. Um, that's super risky. Try that. Um, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for clean structures to establish momentum when we're looking at trends, and I'm looking for two clear legs of correction to as price corrects temporarily and attempts then to make a new extreme with that trend. So again, I don't see there's nothing here really sticks out to me um, in the rest of the day. So anyway, so sit around all day and you wait for that, and sometimes you'll get two of those, two, three, sometimes four of those in a day, and sometimes you'll only see one or two in a week. Um, and then there's things I just miss, just human error. You just miss seeing something, or you go back and you think, I had that. I just overlooked that there. I should have did this or did that. Um, but that's it. I think I'm going to stop it here. This video is almost an hour. Just wanted to kind of take you into my mind as how I'm analyzing markets, how I'm looking at price, I'm looking at structures as they're developing in real time. It's very easy to just go through, print a chart, right? And then I make up, it's real easy for me to just sit back, I look at like 3 hours and I can just draw a bunch of stuff. The difficult thing is doing it in real time, which a lot of people don't show you um, how to do, or I think maybe they're not as they're missing some things with things that they're looking at. Like there's some people that will go through and do that sort of thing, but they don't understand the market. They don't understand really measured moves and legs and how that fits into the whole thing. And so, um, I just think there's some errors in what they're teaching. But um, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. And I hope to maybe do these types of things on Saturday. Um, and I hope people enjoy it and learn something from it that'll help them in their trading. So that's all I got for now. Maybe I'll pop in Monday and we'll see how the market looks in the AM on President's Day. Um, or else I'll see you Tuesday. All right. Have a good rest of your weekend.